Alright guys, welcome back to another video here on the John Doc YouTube channel. Today we are doing a little bit of tech stuff. We're going to be talking about a new Holley Terminator system that we got for the silver Mustang. I call it Boomhauer, you guys call it 50 Shades of Gray. There's like 30 shades of gray on here. If you guys remember, we went and ran a dig or die race with this. It was a no prep at the top end of the track at Rockingham Dragway. We did some really good adjustments to the car to make it 60 foot and leave really well, which was, I think, the biggest part of what we had to do. We went out there, car 60 foot of great, left great, and then we had an issue where the car would just shut off. Being on stock computer, we weren't able to really data log the parameters that we needed to data log, so we weren't able to see anything wrong, we weren't able to make any adjustments, we were just kind of at the mercy of the car. So if it went out there and shut off, it went out there and shut off. We didn't really have any good data. Tuning wise, you know, HP tuners, not really the greatest. You really got to know what you're doing to tune HP tuners. I'd say not a lot of people are at home doing swaps and tuning them themselves. Which brings me over to what we're going to be installing today, the Holley Terminator system. The exact one that we have is 550909T, and that is the 24-tooth Holley Terminator system with the EV6 connectors and the USB tuning cable. This car is set up with a lot of analog gauges, so we opted not to get the little 3-inch digital touchscreen. Took this out of one of the other cars here that has a Holley Terminator on it, so we'll show you guys this. I highly recommend, if you guys are going to get the Terminator systems, get them with the little 3-inch touchscreen. It's super handy, it's super easy to get, you know, a base tune-up going through the wizard, or if you got to make any small adjustments, this right here is very good. Also, most of the cars that we do don't have a lot of analog gauges, so we run all of our parameters and everything digitally, so you can run your fuel pressure, your oil pressure, your coolant temp, everything right here on the screen.
Everything, RPM,
yeah, so
anything and everything.
This is very important. The reason why we're not running that on this is because this is like old school. It's like a boomer mobile, a lot of analog, big autometer gauge. I mean, we're gonna keep it that way. So what this system entails, like I said, so if you, I will say this, if you're gonna order this kit, 24-tooth EV6 connectors, let's say you got a set of 80-pound injectors, run it 550909, don't put the T on there, and you'll be able to get it with the screen. It's like $100 more. I highly recommend that you do that. So this one's 24-tooth EV6 connectors. We got a set of 80-pound injectors coming from John at Huron Speed, which will be here any day now, and we'll get those thrown in there. The Terminator kit comes very complete. You get the ECU, which is the Terminator ECU. You get a O2 sensor, which Matt's got all the specs on the O2 sensor.
Yeah, it's a LSU 4.9, a little bit different than the older LSU 4.2s. So it has a better pumping current, so it measures the fuel content instead of the air content. It's a little better sensor, a little bit more reliable. Not as good as an NTK. You can try to run alcohol on it, but they don't work very well. So if you're trying to run this on a car that you're running alcohol on, you're not going to have any kind of self-correcting. It will run it, but you just won't be able to run any
You'll be flying blind. You'll be flying blind. Yeah. So with the Terminator system, you have to use this O2 sensor that they supply you with. Like I said, very complete, very good. You get your main power harness. We got our injector harness, which is already set up with our EV6 connectors, and then we got our main harness, which has a bunch of different things on there: idle air control, fuel, map sensor. It's got a bunch of stuff. Oh, also on the Terminator, it comes with a factory 1-bar map sensor, like built into the.
Yeah, built into it, so you can run that, or you can run the harness is set up to where you can run like a GM 3-bar or any other sensors. And it also comes with a input-output harness, so you'll have some additional outputs and additional inputs. So if you wanted to run trans data, nitrous pressure, we're going to be wiring our solid-state relay up to it for the nitrous driver. If you want to run your trans brake off of it, you'll be using this harness right here.
Does it come with a bung too?
Yep, comes with an O2 bung.
Wow, it even comes with an O2 bung.
Yep, adapters for your vacuum hoses.
Wow, so it's a pretty complete kit. And like I said, Holley has these kits. I think they make them for like 8.2 deck.
Small block Ford.
Small block Ford. I think
58 tooth.
They make them for the 58 tooth. They make them for the 24 tooth, and they have a lot of different ways that you can have them configured. They also have the Terminator Max, which is a Holley Terminator system with transmission control. So if you run like a factory GM transmission, a 4L60 or 4L80, you can do all your transmission control right through there. If you guys remember, we put that on that silver Corvette we had with the 4L60. It worked great. I mean, there's just really changing the game for LS swap stuff here through Holley. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to take off this factory computer. I think it's like it's a pretty old computer. It's like a 2000. Is it 2000?
2001.
A 2001 truck computer. So we're going to take that thing out and we'll put it to rest. I think it's lived a pretty good life. And we're going to rip all the factory wiring harness that they use for the swap out of it, and we'll get the Holley Terminator harness put in there. We'll mount the Terminator system. We'll get it all plugged up. We'll run the main power harness. And like I said, we're just waiting on injectors. So we're not going to be able to fire the car up today. But once the injectors come in, plug them right up. and we'll be able to go.
Yep. So you want to go over the car a little bit, show them what we're going to be removing and how you can save money by going to a Terminator versus all the additional modules?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll do that, and then we'll get to work on it.
All right, so on this car, we're going to be going to dry shot. Right now, it's currently a wet shot, so you have nitrous and fuel. Dry shot, in my opinion, is much better. It really limits the chance for nitrous backfires. You can tune it much more accurately from the computer instead of having to change jets and adjust fuel pressure and everything. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a Holley or MSD NOS solid state relay. This will be able to PWM the nitrous solenoid, so we can do a progressive on the nitrous. You can also add this to your trans brake, the same one we use for the trans brake. Anything that needs to be PWM'd, you can use this.
What does PWM mean for everyone at home?
Pulse width modulation. So it's gonna PWM the circuit, and it's gonna lower, like,
you can control the rate at which it does its
changes the hertz
duty.
that it feeds the whatever motor or solenoid you're driving. So if you did a PWM fan, you could slow the fan speed down, speed it up. PWM fuel pump, if you ran a really big fuel pump, you could PWM the fuel pump back so you're not heating the fuel.
We use this a lot with our bump boxes on our cars.
Bump box transmission, yep. Transmission solenoid, it can PWM that. PWM dump valves, pretty much anything that you want to modulate it to where it's just not on and off, you would need a solid state relay. You cannot PWM a standard relay. They don't work like that. You have to have a solid state relay. So with the Terminator X, or really any Holley product, you save a lot of money. At first you might think, oh man, that's a lot of money to do that when I could do a stock computer. But by the time you add all the additional stuff, you end up spending more money. So like with this, we're gonna be doing it dry, so we're gonna be getting rid of the dedicated fuel system, which you could run a dedicated fuel system if you wanted to run pump gas and then C16 in a dedicated fuel system. You can do that with the Holley, but we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna run straight C16 in the tank.
We like to spend that money.
Spend the money. If you were gonna do like a completely street car that you just wanna run every time, the dedicated fuel system, I think, is a better option because you don't have to run C16. Like if you're going to spray it once a month, you don't want to be running around on C16 going, wow, am I going to spray it today or tomorrow or next week? But we're going to be removing the MSD two-step. So doing that, we're going to probably save, I think those are probably 200 bucks. Yep, so you're going to save some money there.
So let's say you don't do the standalone fuel system. That's probably what, like, it's got to be like 400 bucks.
Yeah, 400 or 500 bucks. Then you got the regulator and the lines. You got all the other stuff.
So just right there, just between the two-step and the standalone, you pretty much paid for a Holley Terminator system.
Yep. So you do that, and since we're doing the solid state relay, and you don't have to do this, you can run just a regular on-off. If you're not doing any kind of progressive nitrous, I would highly recommend, if you did a nitrous setup, to do it progressive. That way you can tune it, because if you're running a 200 shot, you just don't want to do 200 off the button. So we're gonna do that. You'll be getting rid of the wide open throttle switch, which these things are kind of temperamental sometimes. You know, this is gonna open it up. See how it flexed? So any of those problems, like, you don't want to lose a race because your wide open throttle switch, you know, got bent out of the way or it didn't engage. So all the Holley, it'll go off of the throttle position sensor. So just as long as the throttle position sensor's working, then you're gonna have your wide open throttle switch. Progressive. You won't need a progressive box because the Holley will do all the progressive in there. So this one has a leash. This one has a Leash Electronics progressive controller. Randy at Leash, he makes some awesome products. Not knocking the products at all. It is a wonderful progressive controller. So if you're doing something and it doesn't, your computer doesn't have the capabilities of progressive nitrous control, definitely hit him up. They're awesome. But with the Holley, we're going to be using all the embedded software in the Holley to control the progressive. So, you know, if we want to start off at a 20% duty cycle and ramp it up to 50, 2/10 in or 3/10 in, we can do that. So you can really tailor the power of the car to your track conditions, because you're not going to be able to run the same ramp rate every time, especially on larger shots. And another thing is, some people, they try to progress the solenoid for the whole entire run, and that's hard on solenoids, and it's not the best way to do it. So you can't do like, okay, I'm gonna run a 500 shot and then progress at 50%. It doesn't work like that. And the solenoids also, they don't have a window. Most solenoids, when you get to about 85%, so you got like a 20% to 85% window. Anything past that, it's not like you're gonna see a huge gain going from 85 to 100. So remember that. So if you're setting your progressive table up and you go to 70, you're getting already pretty close to your maximum progress. So we're gonna do that, and John wants to keep all the switches, so we probably won't be wiring the fuel pump up.
I like the switches. I want to keep the fuel pump and the fan, the transmission. I don't know. I just like, if I'm getting in a car, I want to flip switches.
flipping switches. So are we gonna get rid of the wideband controller? This has AEM wideband in it now, so we're gonna get rid of that.
So let's just total up. Take off the wideband controller.
200
leash.
I'm not sure. I'm probably at least 400 for the leash. MSD two-step 200. Standalone fuel system 400.
I don't do any math, but that's definitely more than the price of a Terminator.
Definitely more than the price of Terminator, and you get the dash, so you have all your gauges. You don't have to have, he's probably got $600 in gauges in here. The tack, we need to see how the tack's wired up. We'll have to do the tack signal off of the Holley, so it'll make the autometer tack work. And we'll have to wire the trans brake up to where we're not probably going to use a solid state relay for the trans brake. We're just going to use a regular relay. If you do use a regular relay, make sure that it has flyback protection. So you have to have a flyback diode, because you can have some very high voltage spikes go back to the ECU and it can damage the ECU. So some relays have flyback protection built into it. You need to just make sure that yours does. If you use a solid state relay, you don't. Holley also makes a trans brake protection module, which is a diode, and if you run one, you need to run that.
So we're doing this video pretty much because I feel like a lot of people think the Terminator system is only for turbo cars. That's not true. We're going to show you that you can run it on a nitrous car, you can run it on just an NA car, if you can do LS swaps, you can run it on a blower car. The Terminator system should be your go-to when it comes to LS swaps. Even if you buy an aftermarket wiring harness for a stock computer, it's way more expensive than buying the Terminator system. LS swaps, they're becoming more and more affordable. Honestly, before long, I guarantee you school buses and big trucks have LSs in them. I mean,
UPS already uses
UPS already uses them. They're smart, but before long, you want to get this new Peterbilt, it comes with 2 LS motors, Terminator swapped. I mean, that's how it's going to be. Before long, everyone's catching on. This is why the LS is the greatest engine.
It is the greatest engine.
It is the greatest engine ever created. So, really want to be informative on this. If you guys are doing LS swaps, just know, Holley Terminator stuff, look into that before you start doing, well, I could save money doing a stock computer and all this stuff. So we're going to get into it today. We're going to start tearing some stuff apart. Matt's pulling out the actual Terminator computer system right here.
Yeah, it's fairly compact.
It's a cute little guy.
Yep, it's easy to package. There's a factory 1-bar map sensor. So on this car, we will, if you have a turbo car, even a turbo car, it's not really aggressive. You're running like 5 pounds of boost. The 1-bar potentially would be okay.
What are the plugins here, just so everyone knows?
This would be like if you were having an HP or a Dominator, you'd have J1A and J1B. This uses the same harness as an HP. This is the main power connector. This is going to go there. It has to go back to the battery, so don't cheap out and run it wherever. This needs to go to the battery. So everything good. I believe this is maybe IP67 to 65. I'd have to check on that. So I believe it's
No idea what he's talking about.
waterproof, water resistant. So we should be able to mount it anywhere. We might, this one is set up to where the computer's on the inside. We might mount this, might take the fender off and mount it inside there. A little bit easier to package it, a little bit easier to get to, but we're gonna.
And then if we tune it, we can pop the hood and hook the USB up under the hood, so people still think it's got a carburetor on it, and be like, "Oh, we got to tune this thing and pop the hood."
Yeah, you pull your screwdriver out and you're really taking it off to tune it. Now we're gonna put it in there, and we get all the factory wiring out. They did a good job wiring this car. You know, it's not maybe some professional motorsports wiring job, but you know, for somebody that doesn't professionally wire cars, they did a good job. The problem is with that is they took their time and they really routed everything intricately throughout the whole car, so that means that taking all that harness out is going to be a lot more time consuming. So we're just going to start hacking on it.
Yeah, we got to get this done because we got a very important day tomorrow. We got a bunch of RC airplanes that we're going to fly and potentially crash all of them. I got one that goes 120 miles an hour plus. Seems extremely dangerous. Yes, I know, but that's what we like to do. So check out the LS Nasty YouTube channel. It'll be the second link in the description below. You can check that out. The first link in the description below is going to be to Small Tire Outlaws Facebook page, and check out their Instagram right here. And I think I'm done for all my shameless plugs. All right, we're here getting the factory GM harness, which, as you can see, it's actually done up pretty nice. They separated it, loomed it. They actually labeled some of it, which is very nice. So they did a really good job on this harness for a factory GM harness. But it's nice because when you get the Terminator system, it already comes like this. So Matt's underneath there. I just got everything off this side. Ben got everything off that side, and Matt's actually underneath the dash. The ECU was mounted right in front of the passenger seat, like right behind the glove box pretty much. So there's a little hole in the firewall with a grommet where everything's going. So we should be able to drop the computer down, pull the harness through, and then we'll have a complete LS harness for a 24 tooth motor to run off a factory computer just sitting there. So then mount the Terminator probably in a very similar location, run the harness, and then I mean it's pretty much that simple. We'll get into the wiring specs in the next video as far as wiring up like the main power harness and where you have to run certain wires. But as far as laying the harness out, plugging it up, it's Holley makes it pretty nice as a very general cookie cutter harness. Plug it up to all your sensors.
That one wire alternator.
One wire Pontiac, no gas.
Straight off the trailer, no gas.
God, look at this whole ass wiring harness.
Right here.
God, I can't wait to stick this on an engine on a stand.
Stand engine.
I'm gonna get one of those engine stands with the real big rubber tires that has a spot to put a radiator in front of it, and I'll just keep putting motors on there and we'll just start blowing up random shit on the engine stand.
All right, John Holdner.
God, they have everything shoved through that one grommet.
Alright, can I pull the harness here?
Yeah.
Hold on. Alright, proceed.
Keep going. I know.
We're putting all the connectors through the grommet at the same time. That is a very small grommet.
All right. First injector.
I'm trying to push something through right now.
Yeah, it's an injector.
I'm dying right now.
What? That
It's so tight.
Are you zoomed in on the grommet?
I am.
It is the smallest hole.
All right, there's that one.
There it is, folks. There it is. You gotta hold it up like a trophy, like you just killed it.
T-Long.
Yeah?
Press T-Long.
Yeah. It was a good computer.
Not really.
Not really. It
Oh, it's
literally.
an 0411. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
It's well sought after.
Turbo bullet. Turbo bullet.
I thought you said that was your engine stand
It
computer.
is my engine stand computer and wiring harness.
So not turbo bullet.
No, we're gonna put that. We're gonna put that on an engine stand, and we are going to destroy many things.
He literally forgot about it that quick.
Yeah, I did.
The engine stand plan.
Yep, so what you do is you're gonna wanna just cram this right in the hole
As hard as you can.
as hard as you can. So,
I will say that harness is much nicer.
feels good.
Well, you're getting unmonetized. That was a quite seductive grab you just had there.
If you understand, you know.